Hello and welcome to the podcast of the Card Table, in which we discuss creation, practice, performance and history with the greatest minds in Magic. Before we begin, I'm incredibly excited to let you know that this episode is now brought to you by MAGICBOX, one of the UK's leading bricks and mortar magic shops, and because of that you can grab yourself 10% off at their website with code PATCT, that's PATCT, more details later on in the episode. Enjoy! Today's guest is a world-renowned performer, creator and host, having performed at the world-famous Magic Castle in Hollywood and as part of Insane Magic at Glastonbury. Having won a multitude of awards, including the International Brotherhood of Magicians UK Close-Up Magic Champion and Scottish Magician of the Year, he has made a reputation as one of Scotland's top magicians. It is, of course, the incredible Elliot Bibby. How are we doing today, Elliot? You are?
Ooh, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Good. I'm very well. Even better, because I blasted that out in one go. Come on.
Great.
So, we're going to hop straight in to your origin story. What is taking you from first discovering magic all the way up to what you're doing today? Where did it start and how did you get to where you are?
So I started off when I was 10 years old, actually, in Hamleys.
Long time ago.
That was a long time ago. Hamleys, big toy shop in London. And I was 10 years old and I went up to the little magic stand, Marvin's Magic, and I saw one of the demonstrators demon the dynamic coins set. I got suckered in, spent all my pocket money on that little trick, and that was it. Away I go. So every sort of Christmas or birthday, I would always get little magic sets and just sort of created my collection from there. During primary school, I always remember every Friday we had golden time if we collected enough gold encounters throughout the week.
We had the same.
Thinking back was literally just 2 hours for the teacher to sit with her feet up where we just did what we wanted. But obviously we were going to get the golden counters throughout the week.
Yeah.
But at the end of golden time, we just got to do what you want. And so I was used to sit and practice my magic tricks or magic trick from that week. And then I would perform it to the class. So that was my sort of first introduction of actually performing. And then did it sort of through high school as well.
Do you remember who the demonstrator was at Hamleys?
No, I don't.
No. That would have been... it's probably somebody who's a massive name now, because most of the Hamleys boys, when they first started, have now moved into crazy magic careers.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, after going through school, I really wanted to be two things. I loved playing, played lots of sports, football, golf, to name a few, to like a reasonable level. And then I always loved building things out of like Lego. So I thought, how can I put these two things together as a career? And I came across, there was two courses in the UK. First one was down in Loughborough, called Sports Engineering. And the second one was in Edinburgh, again, Sports Engineering, so very niche courses. And I thought, you know what, I got enough grades at school, and I decided to go off to Edinburgh and study sports engineering for 4 years. But during that time, I got a job in Glasgow. So they just opened the biggest Hamleys in Scotland in Glasgow. So my gran is no longer here, but she actually sent me the newspaper clipping of where they were looking for people. I've still got it somewhere in a box because I'm a massive hoarder. And I applied for it and I got the job. So for a year and a half, I was the head magician in the Hamleys in Glasgow.
No way, what a full circle moment.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, it came full circle. So, yeah, it was nice.
Demonstrating all of that stuff that you bought as a kid.
Yeah.
Suck it in, probably to some other kid that's now going to go work at Hamleys later in life. And
well, that was the thing. So usually I would sell these kits and I got given like sales targets to hit. And I used to just hit them by lunchtime. So it'd be like, oh, sell 20 kits. I used to sell them by like lunchtime. And I used to just go to the pub during my lunch break with like a couple of others. And I'd come back merry. Because this is my first proper job that I'd ever had. I'd never had, and still probably the only proper job. And my job title was demonstrator, which was pretty much just playing with toys. So I wasn't actually...
Is it a proper job?
I wasn't actually employed by Marvin's Magic. I was employed through Hamleys. But because I was a magician, I just got put on the magic stand. But if it was quiet, I'd get put on like the little boomerangs you'd throw around. Or one year I was... At Christmas, I was flying remote-controlled helicopters around the store every weekend. Great job. But
that's unreal.
Marvin actually personally phoned me. I got this random phone call coming through one day, and it was from Marvin Berglis, and I never obviously knew this, but he said, "Oh, hi, is that Elliot?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, it is." And he goes, "Oh, I just want to say a massive thank you for just selling all my products and stuff up there. Obviously, I'm not paying you to do this, but thanks." And because he puts, I think Marvin's Magic put certain demonstrators in different stores, so they've got them in Hadley's, they put them in Harrods and other places as well. But he hadn't put one up in Glasgow, and he was obviously looking at the sales figures and going, "Why? Why is all my stuff flying up there?" But yeah, I used to hit all my targets by lunchtime, go to the pub, come back and just mess around. And every week my target used to go up and up and up. So I used to just sell more and more and more. But then the week later, the kids that I'd sold all the magic sets to, or more probably the parents, would come back in and go, "My kid can't do this. Can you like show them?" So what I used to do is, if it was in the afternoon, I'd already hit my sales target. So I used to just sit at the side and just teach the kids how to do the tricks. The parents were loving it. My bosses were just like, "Elliot, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, just teach them how to do it."
Quick tutorials.
Yeah, literally.
Sounds like a great job. Smash out a few sales in the morning, go to the pub at lunch, and then come back and do a few little tutorials.
It would have been an ideal job, except it was slap bang in the centre of Glasgow. So you're getting Glasgow Neds coming in going, "Oh, mate, that card's floating by a big string. I can see it there." And you're like, there's like a 6-year-old kid there at the side going, "Oh, this is real magic." And the guy comes on and, "Nah, it's a string. I can see it. Got fake thumbs on."
Not ideal. Next you'll be saying Santa's not real.
I know.
Ridiculous. So how did you then go from working at Hamleys and sort of progressing from those kinds of tricks into more of the professional aspect, and then eventually moving into working as a professional as you do now?
So obviously I did Hamleys during my engineering degree, and I got to about third year of that, and I realized that I'd sort of reached my peak, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So I was actually about to drop out of uni. But my parents were like, "Oh no, you've just got a year left, just try and stick in at it." And then fourth year of uni, we did like an optional module, so you could pick anything at all in any genre. And I ended up doing marketing, so I picked marketing, and my little group ended up getting best in year for our marketing. So then I graduated, missed my graduation ceremony because I was in Vegas for like 2 weeks. Working backstage on a magic show, and that all came about. And the reason, sorry to go back, but the reason I did the marketing was because I thought, I'm not going to do this engineering, sports engineering. I'm going to probably be a magician. So what can I do now that's going to help
benefits,
to market myself? But during that time, obviously being based in Edinburgh, you have the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and there was an advert put out by a magician, Tony Middleton, goes under the name Sonic. He's got a brilliant show actually called the Magic Hour in London right now. It's been running for years, and he was working on behalf of Chris Dugdale. And he basically put an advert out saying, "We're looking for a young up-and-coming magician to basically sell merchandise after a show at the Fringe and help flyer and promote it." And I was like, "Oh, this sounds great." And I must have been, what age was I? 22, something like that. 23. 21, 22. And I thought, "Oh, this sounds great. I'm going to go and do it." So I did it. And my parents are like, "What are you doing now? Like, you just gone and got a proper job. Instead, you've almost like taken a pay cut to go and work at the Fringe for like hardly anything." I was like, "No, it's going to be a great experience." So I did that. And honestly, that's probably one of the best things that I've done, was working for Chris at the Fringe. And I worked for him for about 3 or 4 years, and every year I'd get given sort of a bigger role. So initially it was sort of flyering, and then the next year it was entertaining the queue before they went in. Next year it was like working backstage and doing a lot of stuff we won't talk about. And then the secret magic methods. And then the next year I actually had a part on stage as well, where I was dressed in a pink tutu and a tiara. We'll
put some pictures of that in the show notes.
So yeah, so it sort of progressed quite quickly from there, and that's where I sort of ended up going out to Vegas to work with Chris and a couple of other magicians on a show out there for a couple of weeks. But to be honest, working with Chris he's sort of, I never really had a mentor or anything growing up, but I've learned so much from him.
Was that your first sort of introduction to the Fringe Festival as well? Obviously, you went on to do solo shows, and now you're doing Insane Magic. Was that working with Chris at that point your sort of introduction to Fringe and how it all works?
Yeah, definitely how it all works from the performer side. I mean, I'd been going to the Fringe for years with my dad, and we'd go and sit in like the Pleasance courtyard, and you'd sit there and you could get a beer for like £3.50. You could get show tickets for like...
Those were the days.
Honestly, like the show tickets are like £4 or £5. You could go and see like... I've got pictures of me and Jack Whitehall standing together in the Pleasance, and we go and see the show for a £5.
Wild.
And it's
whereas nowadays it's £7 a pint. Tickets are going to cost you at least 15 to 20 quid. Hotel's going to be 500.
Yeah,
like it's absurd.
It is unbelievable seeing the way it's just completely changed. But yeah, my first sort of introduction was seeing that as a punter, but then working with Chris, and then going on to do my own solo shows.
Obviously, you got into like the more professional side of magic through that avenue. How did you then go on to do, obviously, your own solo shows? You do a lot of close-up stuff. You now do a lot of hosting, corporate. How did it transition from that position to where you are now?
So a lot of it came through... I've always been one of these people. I live by the name, live by the saying, if you don't ask, you don't get. You don't actually don't get. And what's the worst that someone's going to say? The worst thing that someone's going to say is no. I'm like, so I was always a sort of little chancer and used my magic sort of through uni to get like queue skip at like a nightclub, or try and get free drinks in the smoking area from people just by doing a quick magic trick. And I met so many club promoters and PR people from that, because I was out all the time. Doing magic, networking with people, and
networking
very loosely,
like networking at the Fringe, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And even still to this day, I've still got some really good friends and clients that I've met from that time at uni that now book me for doing close up at corporate events. But it all started from a residency. I had a residency in a nightclub. Now I've pretty much performed or been paid to perform in most nightclubs in Edinburgh, in like the VIP areas, and I think that's really where I sort of cut my teeth in the performance side, because it's one of the most difficult environments. Yeah. On a Saturday night from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m, my job was to go around the nightclub, the VIP areas, where it's usually groups of guys that have bought massive bottles of overpriced vodka to try and impress women who are not interested, and it's my job to go in and entertain them in a really loud environment where they don't care and they're drunk. So you can imagine trying to perform in that. But I held that residency for about 7 or 8 years, and it was just any Saturday night I was available. I'd message the manager going, yeah, I can come in, perform, entertain. And so I really sort of learned how to perform, and the sort of material to choose and how to deal with people, really.
Definitely how to deal with people, I can imagine. Like, Scottish crowds when drunk. Probably, like you mentioned before, the guy in Glasgow coming in and being like, I can see the strings. Probably going to be the most critical type of people you can get when it comes to watching magic. So, fair play. It's probably the best place to learn. It's like comedians going through like the pub circuit and moving up into that. Like, those tough gigs that you learn so much from that then pay dividends later on.
Yeah, that was the first sort of experience I had of trying to deal with like a difficult audience. Later on in my career, when I started doing more of the stage stuff, it was, which we'll probably get into, but there's a venue in Glasgow where they used to have shows, a cabaret show on a Wednesday, comedy show on a Thursday, cabaret show Friday, 2 cabaret shows on a Saturday, and a sort of family cabaret show on a Sunday. So you could be working like 6-7 times a week at this venue. And myself, there was Cameron Gibson, magician, he's done it as well. Ryan Davidson, who now has a show in Glasgow, he's done it. Colin Cloud, he had a stint there as well. So there's been quite a few, but Krista Rosa as well, a few other magicians as well that have gone in and they've done it. And that's where I really learned how to deal with, because it's in the centre of Glasgow, people are sitting eating their dinner. They do not want to see a cabaret show. You're basically interrupting their dinner. And I did a Christmas season in there, so you're doing like 2, sometimes 3 shows a day, like every day for December. So it's drunk Glaswegians that are on their staff Christmas night out. They don't want to see a cabaret show. They're there to get drunk, and they're sitting eating their dinner. And myself and the host were the only 2 speaking acts. The rest were like silent acts to music, so hula hoopers, sword swallowers, aerial acts. So they were fine. They could just go out, do their act, get off. They were some of the longest 15 minutes of my life, those sets. There's 2 things stand out. I remember, and this is the point of this, is that I feel I can now walk on any stage in the world and I'll be fine.
Fine. Yeah.
I got introduced. It was like, please welcome to the stage your magician, Elliot Bibby. I walk on with the mic in my hand, put the mic in the stand, hadn't even said anything, and I get heckled from the back of the room from this guy, and he goes, "You look shit, get off the stage." And I was like, "Thanks for the support, Dad." Right? It just came to me really quickly. And I got a big laugh, and I just carried on. But I'm like, wow. There's about 120 people in the room as well, so it's tough. But
yeah, need to get them on side fast, otherwise game over.
Yeah.
We're going to hop into our quickfire section, which, as I mentioned before we started recording, this is never quickfire. And knowing the tangents that we've gone off on in Magic in the past, this could probably last quite a while. So we'll try and keep it relatively short. But we're going to start with, what is your favourite sleight? As I mentioned to other guests, most people's brains immediately go to card stuff, but this doesn't necessarily have to be cards. This could be coin stuff. It could be other sort of manip stuff. Is there any sleight that particularly stands out as your favourite?
The first thing that comes to my head is the clip shift, the card move. Yeah. I'm a very card heavy guy. Obviously, with Magic, it is now my full-time job. It has been for the last 12 years. And I find that with a job, I always like to try and keep stuff fresh, because Magic was a hobby. And I've only just started now after 12 years to try and get other hobbies. So there's still that gap. But for me, the technical side of Magic is the hobby side, and then I've got the performance side, is where I pays my bills and my mortgage and stuff. But I love putting in technical stuff in my normal performances, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the clip shift move, for anyone that doesn't know it, is where you take it's almost like a Kelly bottom placement type move, but you take the card from the bottom to the top. If you're watching this, we'll do it now on the screen. So the deck of cards, but we'll do it this way so you get a nice visual. So you have the 9 of diamonds, you give it a little shake like this, and it changes to 10 of spades. So it's just a one-handed move where you get the...
no methods.
Oh, no methods on this? All right, well...
Public forum, unfortunately.
There we go.
But, sorry guys. If you want to learn it, there's plenty of people who've done tutorials on the clip shift. Yeah, it's...
Love it.
The most finicky move I've ever tried to do, and it's just disgusting. I just don't have the finger dexterity to pull it off, but I'll learn it one day when I get the chance.
Well, I actually use it. I genuinely use it in my day-to-day performing. So I'll use it for stuff, and then I'll use it to get out of trouble. Now that this is a public forum, I'm going to think about my answers a bit more.
Good luck.
Yeah. So yeah, I've.
We can obviously still discuss methods in code, so that obviously magicians listening will understand, but, sort of Penn and Teller-esque.
Yeah.
But any lay people listening obviously won't know what's going on, and we'll just be talking absolute gibberish. So
actually, it's like if I need to move a card from the bottom of the deck to the top, maybe I've had a spectator select a card, they've signed it, it's got lost in the deck somewhere, I've controlled it to the top, and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh, okay, maybe it's on the top already."
Yeah,
I could do the clip shift to move one card from the bottom to the top, and I'd say, just literally in one hand.
Yeah,
see anything. I say, "Oh, they're on the top," and then I can literally turn over the top card. No, it's not. So like stuff like that.
That's a nice move.
Yeah, especially being one-handed as well. It's a great color change. I love it actually. There's actually I've been working on a version where you do it, but you get the bottom card, which is the one you're moving to the top, to the second top.
Oh.
So it's almost like a cover pass type. Well, not cover pass. Yeah, cover pass where you can't actually see it at all. So just by using, I'm going to go into a method here of the set. Come and see me at a convention, or if you see a convention, come and chat to me about that, because it's.
Or if you catch Bibby in the pub,
or in the
pull him aside.
Yeah, so clip shift, I love it.
I feel like a lot of people's answers for their favorite sleights, like the most technical sleight that they can do, but it's normally because it's taken them a lot of time and it's very like tactile and physically rewarding to get it in the end.
Yeah.
But it's interesting for you to say there that you're keeping things fresh, especially in the technical aspect with your working stuff, because I know a lot of working magicians, especially that I know, haven't changed their working set for the past like 10 years. So how often are you throwing new bits of material in? Are you still just rocking the same stuff and just adding in some technical slides just for the fun of it? Or are you changing your working set where possible to keep it fresh and different?
Yeah, it's a good question. For me, anyway, I'm always trying to just keep it fresh. For anyone that knows me, I don't really sit in my room and practice unless it's like I'm sitting at a table doing seconds or bottoms or stuff like that, technical card stuff. I used to go to a group, Scottish underground card group, the Nine of Diamonds. You might have heard them. They released a great book, actually. But used to meet every Tuesday, I think it was, underneath a theatre in a cool bar in Edinburgh. And I used to go to that because I was completely out of my depth card-wise. And I used to go out and be like, wow, it's amazing. And that I used to get fooled every week, and it was brilliant. And I learned something there from someone. I think they said that cards belong on a table. All decks of cards belong on a table. They shouldn't be like in the hands and all this stuff. And I was like, well, I disagree with that, because I make a living from having cards in my hands.
Practical for walk around.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, cards were made for like table games, and they should be on a table, hence like table riffles and faros and all this stuff. But for me, now the cards are in the hands. What was the question again? I've gone off on a tangent.
The question was, how often are you changing your working repertoire?
Changing my set. So the point of that was that I'm changing it all the time, because I always want to keep it fresh for me. That technical side was because I was going back to the hobby side, and I want to challenge myself. But if there's something that I'm working on, like for example the clip shift, it didn't come overnight. It took a few years. But then once it's there, it's just another card move in my arsenal that I can then take out and perform. So something that I'm sort of known for at the moment is the Classic Force. Honourable mention for that. But that is literally just in my set. I do it every single group of people I go to, multiple times, behind the back.
Fair play, man. I feel like a lot of people are like reluctant to do anything like super technical, just because they don't want to risk like messing something up, so they'll just play it safe and know that it's guaranteed every time. But to hear people putting in the technical stuff and just being willing to like risk it, I so much prefer that. Like when you get away with something really technical under a spectator's nose and you're like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
And they don't know anything has happened. They're so rewarding.
Like if I really need a spectator to select a card, like, and I really need them to select a card, like, I'll still just do a Classic Force.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a potential it could miss, but I've got enough subtleties and stuff, and I've learned from Phil J, the master Welsh magician, the Classic Force, and again Chris Dugdale. I was introduced to Phil by him. But yeah, they've just got so many. In fact, I'm pretty sure they've got a project called the Classic Force Project, which is worth checking out as well. But There's a few subtleties and stuff that I've added in that make it almost 100% now for me, the way in which I present it.
Fair play. I need to sort my classic force out. Be
chat.
asking for some tips. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the point of this was about the practice thing was that I don't sit in my room and practice all the time. I'll go out and I'll practice in real life and in the pub, and that's like a massive piece of advice that I give to people when they say, "Oh, how can I improve my magic?" Or when I lecture as well, because I lecture different magic clubs, and I always say to people, just go out and do it. Like what I said at the start, what's the worst that's going to happen? They don't pick the card. All right, we'll go into something else then, a different trick. If you don't need to, for a spectator, select a card, and it needs to be that card, I can just say force. I'm going around.
Yeah.
If you need to if you don't need to force a card for a trick, still classic force it. And if you miss, it doesn't matter. So that's a good way to get into it if you're practicing. But yeah, I just go out and do it, especially even on stage. I'll just go out and just do stuff, and I'm like, what's the worst thing that happen? It goes wrong, and I go, oh well, that didn't work.
Ideal for a stage environment. I'm sure Cammy and Luke love it when you pull stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, even just talking about the technical side, I love making stuff. We'll get into it later on probably, but I love making stuff a lot more technical and difficult than it needs to be.
Same. Overcomplicated, I'll take any day.
Yeah.
Just for the giggles.
Absolutely love.
Cards across.
Yeah.
Another one. Do you have a particular favourite plot in Magic? Whether this is something that you personally perform or whether it's something you enjoy watching, is there a particular plot that stands out as like a favourite?
My favourite's item to impossible location. I've come up with loads of different methods for different items, and I've put all sorts in one. My very first Edinburgh Fringe show, I did card corner to impossible location, but the card corner that I'd torn off was inside the actual card that I'd actually torn it off.
Yeah.
Which I thought I'd come up with, but someone told me Jay Sankey had come up with it.
Jay Sankey came up with everything.
Yeah.
If it's not Jay Sankey, it's probably Tarbell.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
But what I did was the routine. It was just it's a simple routine. Tear the card corner off, make it disappear. It reappears inside the card. But I like to make things a little bit more complicated. So obviously you have the methods that you do. I have that card on the top of the deck, and it's the easiest second deal in the world because you've got the corner missing.
Yep.
So you stop whenever you want. Great. But then what I'd introduced was a lemon, a lime, and an orange on the table. Right. So I'd obviously take the card corner, disappears. Hold on to the card for me. And I'd say to them, pick any item of fruit you want. Oh no, so pick any 2 items you want. All right, we'll keep them. So all the magicians in the audience are pissing themselves
waiting for it, yeah.
Oh, do you want to keep them or get rid of them? Great, okay. So we could have had them. So we're going to cut them open, and inside is orange. It's just orange. I throw it in. Open up the next one, lemon. Cut open inside. You're never going to believe this. Is lemon. Which
45 minutes later.
Yeah, which leaves us with the lime. Remember, you selected a card. We made the card corner disappear. Inside the lime is lime. just lime. It was a waste of about 6 minutes. But build, and then where's the card corner gone? I'm like, hang on, you've been holding that card the whole time. Just tear it open ever so slightly. In the fibres of the actual card is the card corner.
Yeah.
But then, so that was the very first sort of card corner to impossible location. I've done something that's still in my working set, which I absolutely love, and I've lectured it, is signed banknote to Kinder Surprise egg.
Yep.
And there's been a few other people that have brought out different methods, but I mean, my method is literally you can go into a shop and buy Kinder Surprise eggs and just do it. There's no faffing around with gimmicking certain items. And the spectator opens the foil, they crack open the chocolate, and they open the capsule. they open all three things, and inside it's their signed note. So yeah, I've done another one where it's what was it again? Yeah, like a Terry's chocolate orange, but instead they open up the packaging and everything, open up the foil, and inside it's just an actual orange, and you can have anything inside there. So there's a way of loading it in, just the way the packaging is made on a Terry's chocolate orange. So
That's
we're
really cool.
coming up to Christmas quite soon, aren't we? So keep an eye out. So yeah, I mean, there's loads of impossible locations, and we've actually got one coming out soon. I actually don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but yeah, we've got
probably not.
Probably not, but we've got an item to impose. I say we as in Insane Magic. Nice. We're going to be doing one, and it's going to be released, and that's all I'll say.
Very exciting stuff. Yeah. So this might be getting cut when Luke and Cammy hear it.
Item to impossible location, but as I say, we've done it in the Fringe. 3 items to impossible location. So a phone, a spectator's ring, and
ID.
Yeah, their driver's license. So yeah, we've done that before, but yeah, it's got something brand new.
And you guys did bank card the ice the year beforehand.
We did, yeah.
Matching up spectators' bank cards on the nightly.
Well, that's actually, yeah. So I'm going to elaborate on that story.
Yeah, please do, because it was both absolutely hilarious to watch sort of happen in real time, but at the same time, the way you guys had constructed that to happen on the daily is incredibly clever. So please do elaborate.
Oh, thank you. I'll take all credit for that. So I was performing my solo bit in Insane Magic. Our first year of doing it was a spectator's bank card in a block of ice. So we had a little metal tin that was handed out at the very beginning of the show. I then got loads of people in the room to hold their bank cards up in there. I had one selected by someone, popped a little envelope, introduced 3 other envelopes, placed them on a little shredder. They all disappeared. Well, that's not the magic part. They just got shredded. And then the one that they were holding on to, they'd ripped it open and it wasn't their bank card. Oh no, where is it? Oh, well, should probably go home and freeze it. Hang on, freeze? You've been holding to that box at the back of the room. Open up the box, the lock box, they unopen it. What's inside? Block of ice. Freeze. Comedy genius. And freeze it as in because they've lost their bank card, need to freeze the pen for anyone who hasn't.
We got this.
That.
Dad jokes explained.
So, yeah, and then they open it up and it's a solid block of ice. I say, what's inside? And they say, a red bank card. And I say, right now, pass the block of ice through the audience. That's where magicians are going, huh? Well, so then what they could do is they could genuinely pass that solid block of ice through the audience, and people are feeling it and going, that is literally a solid block of ice with a red bank card in it, which is the same one as the one I've just borrowed. Again, gets passed up onto the stage, and then onto a tray. So all in test conditions. I then take a hammer, and I usually just used to tap the ice to break it, and then they would go in and take out their bank card and confirm, yes, that is their bank card. But on this one occasion, about a week into the Fringe, the person on stage was like, oh, can I break it open with the hammer? And I'm like, yeah, right. In my head, what's the worst that can happen?
Well,
bits of ice go all over the stage. We have to clean it up. Fine. So they then take it, and I sort of gestured to hit it, but quite a big gesture. So then I turn around and then I look back, and they've just absolutely cracked this block of ice. Ice has gone everywhere, but their bank card has gone into about 20 pieces, just absolutely smashed into pieces, which I found absolutely hilarious. They found hilarious. The audience found hilarious. Looking Cammy backstage, hilarious. And it took me a moment to be like, oh, what the hell? So then I'm like picking up pieces going, I think that...
Is that your card? You're holding 4 pieces together. I
can see your name in there. And they're like, well, yeah, it definitely is. I'm like, well...
There you go.
Luckily, that's like a Revolut card or whatever, so you can just order another one. It'll be here in a few days. And yeah, so then I was like, well, that's actually quite a funny bit. Luke and Cameron came back out, and we could
literally bawling their eyes out. I think we were there for the first time it happened, And
Yeah.
Cammy and Luke just came out absolutely in tears. I don't think you guys could speak for the next like 3 or 4 minutes. Like the next routine is all 3 of you guys, and you were all just stood there just crying.
The next routine is literally Woody Harrigan's Love Rickshaw, which is a massive talking bit. So then I was like, right, okay, all 3 of us were like, well, we should try and keep this in. So I didn't actually feel that bad because it was them that was smashing their bank card up, and it was a certain bank card that you could get anyway. And a lot of people had Apple Pay and multiple cards anyway on them, so it was fine. But it was almost like, it's just anytime you're doing a show, or anytime I'm doing a show, or any performance, I'll always try and keep it fresh by adding in something like that is very unpredictable, and it's like the audience feel as if they're seeing something for the first time and something that's not meant to have happened, which gives them that unique one-off experience, which I feel as if you should be doing every performance, even at the Fringe. Like, you shouldn't say, oh, if you'd been here last night, you would have seen this, or you're not as good as the person last week, or stuff like that, because then you're then referring back to a performance that's already happened. You should always sort of live in the moment. This is the only performance, and it should be the only performance because that's what that audience is seeing.
Again, audience members feel like they're seeing a heightened version of the show. They feel like they're seeing, oh, it's gone wrong. Like, this is the only night this has happened. This is insane. So for you guys to take that and then curate it on a daily basis for it to continue happening is genius, because at the end of the day, every person leaves your show thinking, wow, we've seen something totally unique that has never happened before. Whereas realistically, it's happened for the previous 25 nights in a row.
We actually pulled it off so well that we were getting marked down in reviews. They were like, oh, the show was always perfect. They managed to deal with like an adverse effect that happened in the show.
Handled it really well. It was almost as though they'd done it before.
Yeah.
We're going to venture, obviously, you have a lot of books behind you. I don't know whether they're all magic or if they're a variety of different things. Do you have a particular favourite book or favourite books? I know it's difficult for somebody who reads quite a lot to narrow it down to just one. So if you were to narrow it down to 2 or 3 maybe that you keep going back to, or stuff that is sentimental to you, are there any books in particular that are your favourite?
Well, I've got the complete Waltons up there.
Yeah.
Signed as well by Roy, and they probably mean quite a lot to me. Because during my lunch breaks, when I wasn't in the pub, when I was going to my lunch breaks of Hamleys, and in Glasgow, I would go to Tam Shepherd's Trick Shop on Queen Street, which is no longer there. They still have an online shop, but it's just not in person. Yeah. And I used to go there on my lunch break and chat to Roy Walton and Peter McClanahan as well, Scottish magician. And at that sort of age and my sort of level in magic, I didn't really know the full gravitas behind the name Roy Walton, and I didn't really know that he's like an actual living legend. And so I used to just go in and chat to him, listen. I would always listen, and I'd see. It would always be an absolute honor to see him like actually perform little tricks and stuff, and just chat. And yeah, I used to buy quite a lot of magic books from there. But the very first one that I got, and the one that he said was this, The Royal Road to Card Magic.
Classic.
And it's a book that I tell a lot of people to buy that are starting off in magic, get it. And the advice that Roy said to me is, he said, read it from start to finish. Don't dip in and out of it. He said you got to read it from start to finish, because it's written in a way in which if you start at the beginning, you'll learn all the basics, and they sort of touch back on things that you've already learned in it. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I've done it. I've read it from start to finish several times, and now I feel as if I'm at a level I can dip in and out of it. And I do dip in and out of it, not as much as I should do, but we were doing a night at the Edinburgh Magic Circle a couple of weeks ago, and it was bring in your favourite book or something you've learned from a book. And I thought, with an hour to go before I left the house, I'll just pick a random book, I'll just learn something new in it. Nah. I thought, what do I do a lot of in my working set right now? Classic Force. I thought, where would I find that? So picked up the Royal Road to Card Magic, went into it, and I've still actually got, that's another thing, like all my books have, for anyone watching,
annotations.
Notes. And I always just put loads of post-it notes in, annotate things on them. This is page 214, the Royal Road to Card Magic, and it's about the Classic Force. So it teaches you different ways of how to do it, but then at the end of that chapter, it shows you like 10 tricks that you can do with it. And some of the tricks, like I've just opened it up and I learned that trick. Obviously, I knew how to do the Classic Force, so I wasn't learning from scratch, but the trick is brilliant. It's all about how you can get someone to select a card, and you know what the card is by feeling their pulse. And then you reverse it, and you get them to hold the deck, and you take out a card, and you remember it, and then they hold your pulse, and then they know what the card is that you've picked just by feeling your pulse. So it's almost like I'm going to go into a method and I won't. But yeah, page 214, check it out. It's called like the pulse trick. And I'm like, that's brilliant. And I would never have known about that if I hadn't have just picked up the book and turned to a random page. And I'm really excited. I've got a gig tomorrow actually. And I'm actually going to do it this time that I can actually do it. And I've performed it once at the end of a magic circle in front of a room full of magicians, but now I'm actually just going to go out and do it to the public. So that's what I love doing, is just taking things like that and just going out and doing it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. But you never know, it might just get an amazing reaction.
Yeah. Again, it keeps it fresh for you as well. Not only if you've got repeat clients, obviously they're seeing new stuff, but at the same time, it's incredibly difficult to be doing the exact same working set day in, day out, especially for the amount of gigs and things that you do. It just becomes like so tedious, and you get into like a robotic rhythm where you're just sort of going through the motions. You're not really there. You're not present. You're just doing the same set, word for word, beat for beat, exactly the same. So adding in things like that from time to time where you just jam in new stuff must sort of help keep that a little more fresh than usual.
Absolutely, and I think your audiences will know. They notice if you're just 100%. Going through the motions, or they know if something's brand new. And I'll sometimes say, "I'm like, do you want to see something brand new?" And they might go, "Oh yeah, I want to see this," because I think it's that almost like, and I do it with stuff I've been doing for 10 years. Do you want to see something brand new? And they're like, "Yeah."
Give us your bank card.
Yeah.
Bride and groom.
Yeah. Because I think people, they do genuinely, they can tell if you're just going through emotions, or they can tell if you are a little bit nervous, or they can tell if it's brand new. So, yeah.
The next one in our quickfire segment, we've only got 3 more. We're, 6.5 hours in? Is, do you have a particular favourite performance that you've seen, whether this be in person, on TV, film, and it doesn't necessarily have to be magic. This could be comedy, could be theatre, just something that's influenced who you are as a person. Do you have a particular favourite standout performance?
Yeah, I've got 2 actually. And they are actually both magic related.
Well, you've got to pick a top one because it's going on social media. So I need one, and then we'll give an honourable mention. So you got to figure out.
All right. Well, I'll talk about both of them, and then I'll work out which one it is after I've talked about them. So the first one is Yu Ho-jun's card manipulation act.
Yeah, sensational. Absolute masterclass. I'm gonna.
Yeah. Something that a lot of people probably don't know about me is I actually used to do a lot of card manipulation. I used to have a 12-minute act that I used to do with train tickets. I did it a handful of times in public, and those videos are not getting shown anywhere. They're unlisted on my YouTube channel. But it's something that I'd maybe like to bring back. The only thing I could sort of describe it, in fact, no, I'm not even going to describe it close to. The performance is nothing close to it, but the idea is sort of similar to Soma's FISM winning act. I was about to compare myself to that.
To a FISM winner.
Yeah, nowhere near it, but sort of about how I sort of ran out on stage, which you learn quite quickly why card manipulators walk out on stage very slowly, or they're already there on stage, don't move around.
Yeah.
Whereas my act was very fast paced. I ran out on stage, and I was trying to get through a ticket barrier. I couldn't get through with my ticket, and then I had to produce money to put into the ticket machine, which I had like 2 big props on stage. Couldn't get any tickets from making that money. Then I went to sort of like a dream section where I just produced hundreds of tickets from thin air. Still couldn't get through. And then I finally had almost like a golden ticket, which got me through the barrier, but I'd left my briefcase on the other side, and I was like, oh no. But it was all timed to music that I'd all edited myself really badly. And I remember doing it on stage at a Scottish magic competition. And I ran out on stage, and 3 out of my 4 loads just went and fell on the stage. No. So at one point in my act, I'm on my hands and knees scooping up cards, then stand back up doing like an interlock production. Yeah.
Oh man, is that on video?
That is on video, yeah.
Come on. Oh, I'd look forward to seeing that.
I love card manipulation. I still do bits of card manipulation in my close-up act.
I remember sitting one evening, I think it was at your house, and you just doing some manip stuff, and I was just like, hold up, what? Because obviously I knew you did a lot of card magic stuff, and you did a lot of technical sleights, but I didn't know you did card manip. And then you started whipping that out, and I mean, it was a few drinks in anyway, but I was just like, this is not happening. It's so unbelievably impressive, and I think manip stuff's just absurd. The cleanliness of some of the presentations and stuff is just ridiculous. Really, really cool stuff.
So yeah, Eugen, his first act that he did with the single white card and the silk scarf around his neck. And I was fortunate to see that live as well. But I think I actually cried after I'd seen that at Blackpool Magic Convention for the first time. But yeah, just talking about card manipulation, actually, Florian Zimmer, card manipulation guy, and really good magician, actually. I think he's German. Don't quote me on that. Florian Zimmer. But I first, just when YouTube had just started out, I found out his act, and he did a sort of spray painting act, and like spray painting graffiti act, and he made a BMX appear at the end, which is kind of cool. But he was just on stage on his own in his rucksack, and he was doing really cool card stuff. But then the point of that, sorry,
is this on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
I'll hunt it out, and I'll pop it in the show notes.
Yeah, probably not. And then I sort of got down a rabbit hole, and I was watching all these sort of videos, and this is going to lead me on to my second favourite act, which is Jason Latimer's clear cups and balls.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
And I was just like...
It came up again on Instagram recently, a video of him doing it, and I was just sat there going, wait, what? Yeah, so good. Some of the productions under the cups, just absurd.
Yeah, and especially in that sort of day and age as well, because this was years and years ago before we have all the sort of the tech stuff that's going on. Well, not the tech, sorry, the material side of things now. Yeah. So jumping back to my degree, the sports engineer, and it was heavily material based.
Yeah.
So I was looking at all different materials in sort of sports equipment. So I got quite a broad knowledge of materials and how they interact with each other. So I was looking at that almost during like uni, going, how has he made those cups go solid, and how has he got that? And then I'd be sitting asking my sort of professors, like, how, if I took this sort of plastic composite and like hit it hard, would it just go solid? And so I was almost like looking at like, how has he done that? So yeah, I love that. So, but I think I'm gonna have to go. My number one is Eugen's card manip, just because I've come from a card manipulation background. But also Jason Latimer's got some great card manipulation routines as well. He does like a single card and a big ring that he's holding that in and out. And Jason Latimer is actually he comes from an engineering background as well, and he says something really interesting in that he does a lot of corporate work, but he gets the corporate companies, big companies, to pay for the illusions. Oh. This is something I'm currently trying to work on for Insane, is get a sort of sponsorship or a big company to pay for the illusion. So for example, if you want to make a car appear, and you go to Lamborghini and say, "Hey, Lamborghini, for your new launch, I can have an empty stage and I can make your new Lamborghini appear on stage." And they'd probably turn around and go, "Yeah, right. How much that going to cost? $100,000? All right, fine, just do it."
Yeah.
In fact,
paid for.
Dynamo did it for.
Yeah, he did the light drawing.
Yeah,
for, was it BMW? Or
a BMW, yeah. It was some of that, but yeah, it was. Yeah, but then what Jason does is he basically got all these corporate companies to build him, or he got them built, and he did it in the one-off performance, and he got to keep it.
So smart.
So I'm like, that's so clever.
Probably got a warehouse and stuff that's been paid for by some of the biggest companies in the world.
Yeah.
Very, very clever. We're going to move on to a slightly... It's going to take a bit of a turn here. We're going to move into magic industry gripes. This is something that you believe doesn't belong in the industry, whether it's something as small as something that's overperformed, or whether it's things like ego has been mentioned in the past, piracy. There's a multitude of different things. Do you have any particular one magic industry gripe? We could probably talk all day about magic industry gripes. Do you have one in particular that sort of stands out?
This is probably one thing that the one topic that I probably couldn't talk about for ages. I mean, probably lots of magicians could go on and on and on, but the only thing that I really had to think about this. The other ones I didn't really have to think about. This one I really had to think about, and it just, I don't really get annoyed about anything. I'm so laid back about everything. I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. As soon as I released a trick, it was like, it's straight on these magic piracy websites. Like, cool, whatever. It's what it is, isn't it? But my biggest magic industry gripe is people that say they've been like a professional magician longer than they actually have been. So I've been a professional magician for 12 years. I've been doing magic for about over 20 years. Yeah. But I've been a professional making money for it for 12 years. There's kids out there that are like 20 years old, and they've been, I've been a professional magician for 15 years. Like, no, you've not. No, you've not. You've been doing magic since you were like 5, but you've not been doing it professionally. Don't know why that really bugs me. It just does. Yeah. I think it almost takes away from everyone that has been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. Has that expertise, has that time under their belt, has really worked to be able to say that. Yeah. I think it's the same with falsifying accolades as well. People being like, award-winning magician. And it's just like, I don't know, they won a talent show when they were younger. Now it's award-winning. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. People falsifying
sold out at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah, in a 3-seater venue with your mum, dad, and sister.
Well, that technically still is a sellout, but I mean...
Yeah, but if you're selling out a single show in a small venue as opposed to selling out a 350-seater every single day of the Fringe... Yeah. Which one's really a sellout? I mean, congratulations if you are selling out, even if it is a single show. It's still an incredible accolade to get.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite have the same gravitas as, Colin Cloud selling out McEwen Hall, or you guys selling out a 350-seater every night. It doesn't carry the same level of sellout.
Yeah. It's not even.
I mean, that's an issue on Edinburgh Fringe's end, though, not the magic end, I guess. So It is what it is. We're going to finish this quickfire section with one final thing, which is, who are your influences in magic? Ideally, we're going to try and narrow this down to 5 people. Obviously, with any sort of influences, you can never know how many people have influenced you in a multitude of different ways. But if you had to pick sort of 5 standout people, who would they be?
Okay. This has been a really quick fire round. It's flown by this.
Not according to my timer.
So my sort of influences. I'm actually heavily influenced by music. I love music, and I have done from a young age. And I actually did music at school. Ended up getting hires for A levels for anyone else. Getting an A for that in my sort of 5th year of uni. That's one of my biggest regrets, is not doing advanced hire. But I used to play drums and glockenspiel, orchestral glockenspiel. So I was in charge of the percussion section of the orchestra. But so heavily musical influence. So there's a lot of DJs at the moment. like Fred again and people like that, James Hype, that are just pushing the boundaries and
Fred
stuff.
again's drum pad stuff is absurd, absolutely
so
ridiculous.
And then so those two sort of stand out at the moment. And then in terms of magic, it's got to be like Chris Dugdale, who again I've been in his company for so long, and I've done gigs with him. He's been so good to me. I've learned so much from him. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't be where I am now as a performer in the sort of business side as well as the performance side if it wasn't for him. And sort of that, us sort of crossing paths at the Edinburgh Fringe at a time. So he's sort of been my mentor, really great friend as well. Another influence of mine is Etienne Pradier, French magician, and he was one of the first lecturers that I saw when I was a member at Forth Valley Magic Circle up in Scotland. And one of his books, actually, what's it called? Le Magic with Le Cartes or something, which Magic with Cards in French. Absolutely butchered that, but yeah, it's his book, and I learned a couple of routines in that, and again, they were really slight heavy.
Yeah.
But I just love his whole sort of demeanor and the way he performs, and again, some of the videos that he posts on social media and stuff are just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's the same sort of style with me. Is I'll just get up on stage and just do something, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, or if it's just a terrible routine, like what is Etienne saying? It's like not off by one, or what's it called again? Have you seen that?
Oh.
No, what is it? Not off by one. I can't remember it, but he basically just gets up on stage and it's like, or the routine is potentially it's like not your card. And he gets someone to like pick a card, and then it's like, say for example, the Jack of Hearts, and then he just goes through the whole deck. Oh, it's not that one, not that one. He's left with one card, and he goes, turns it around, it's like the 9 of spades, and he goes, that was not your card. And they're like, no, it's not. He's like, yes, thank you so much. It's almost like a Tommy Cooper thing. Like, it's just like, what? That wasn't even a trick, but the way in which he's performed it and carried it, it's just brilliant. So yeah, he's sort of a big influence. And then two guys closer to home is my two best mates and colleagues and business partners of Insane Magic, Cameron and Luke. So Cameron I've been friends with him for years, and he's so driven and motivated and almost like wants everything to be perfect. And I've taken so much from that in my own work, and instead of just doing something, that was all right, like I've learned from that, I just need to make it the best it can possibly be. So I'm thankful for that. And Luke as well is just so creative. And I can't believe I'm 10 years older than Luke.
It's disgusting, isn't it? Luke is so young. It's not okay.
We worked out when we were trying to hire a van, and
Luke's not old enough to have a driving license.
I can't drive it. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't drive it? You can drive. And he's like, no, I'm legally not old enough to drive it. I was like, what age are you? When you born? And I was like, oh my God, what? But his attitude of just going out and doing things. Before the Fringe in 2024, he was out when he was in Edinburgh doing comedy clubs gigs, open mic nights, like 3, 4, 5 nights a week. Not getting paid for them, just going out and doing them to road test the new material that he was going to put in his show. So yeah, pretty inspiring.
Fair play. I mean, that was very wholesome. Neither of those guys mentioned you. Or each other, to be fair, I don't think. Bastards. No, it's very nice to see you guys. But yeah, we'll not be sending that to them. We'll cut this bit out. No, it's nice to see you guys bouncing off each other, and you can tell when you guys are performing together that it's just like three best mates that are really sort of vibing. And as you say, you all come together with your own different unique aspects to bring Insane to the level it is. And as we mentioned before, selling out a 350-seater venue at the Fringe every single night for a full run is no small feat. So very well done to you guys.
Thanks.
We're going to move into the main bulk of the questions here, and we'll get a little more in-depth, as if this hasn't been in-depth already. The first one is, obviously you've done a lot of different things over your years of performance. one of which more recently has been that of performing at the Magic Castle in Hollywood. So how did that come about, and why did you pick the set that you performed?
Okay. You want the in-depth story there?
Well, it depends how in-depth it's going to be.
I'll keep it brief. So I had first heard about the Magic Castle from my friend Gary, who runs a bar in a really nice restaurant actually in Stirling, who's a great card magician, and he was chatting about it, and he used to come along to Forth Valley Magic Circle and stuff, and I'd mentioned that I was going on, basically my mum works in travel, and I've been very fortunate to travel to some amazing places around the world, and very grateful for that. And I got taken on a family holiday out to Vegas and then over to LA and saw all those different things. So I'd sort of told him, we're going to go to LA. And he said, you need to visit the Magic Castle. I was like, what's that? Now I was like, I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 at the time. I remember I couldn't drink because the
21 in the US, yeah.
liquor laws in America, 21. So yeah. So yeah, it was 20 at the time, and gone out, and Gary said, you can speak to my friend, I'll get you in. So obviously it's a private members club, quite difficult to get into. And I'd obviously Googled it and seen that Justin Bieber had been like turned away at the door because he wasn't wearing a tie and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is quite a prestigious place.
Yeah.
So Guy managed to sort us, like through a friend of a friend, managed to get us in for the Sunday brunch, where you can go in and you can go in as like a family, you have the brunch and you can see a few of the shows and stuff. So it's not the full experience you'd get at the nighttime, but it's like close enough. You still see the shows. And I can't even remember the performers that I saw now, which is really annoying. But we went in as a family, did it, and then Gary mentioned, he said, right, you need to go down and see the library. I was like, all right, okay. So I went down to the library. It's all cordoned off and stuff. And Bill Goodwin, who's the librarian at the Magic Castle, he sort of comes out and he's like, Elliot, how you doing? Guys mentioned about you. So I go in, and my mum and dad and my sister weren't allowed in. So they had to sit outside in the little foyer bit, and I went in, and Bill's going around and he's showing me all these things, and we're chatting for a bit, and he's like, come into this like locked room bit. So you go through this little metal gate that's all locked, and you go into this other sort of like air temperature controlled area, and he's like, I'll put these gloves on. All right, okay, put these gloves on. He's like, hands me this little book, and I'm like, what's this? And he's like, that's actually signed by Houdini just there. And I'm like, He's like, here's another one, passing this other one. It's like a first edition ERDNASE. I'm like, this is like amazing night. I'm getting the feeling about looking back. Wow, this is amazing. But they've got like some amazing books, like first edition of like Discovery of Witchcraft, and like amazing books in there. And so then literally after like 45 minutes, I then walked back out, and my dad's like, where have you been? You've just been sitting here. I'm like,
you wouldn't even believe.
Exactly. So then go back out, and I'm like, that was amazing. I want to, like this, we're sitting later on in the hotel. I'm like, I want to perform there one day. And then I sort of made it my goal to be like, I want to perform. And people always say like, you should have a goal, try and have multiple goals. You should have a goal every month, or you should have a goal in a year's time, or what's your 5-year plan, all this stuff. I've never had any of those apart from perform at the Magic Castle. That was my only goal. So then I was like, right, how am I going to do that? So then I've started, even to this day, I don't have any other goals.
Nice. Real aspirational guy.
Yeah, so I'm just like, want to perform there. So then I was like, right, how am I going to get in there to perform? They used to do like a Scottish week, but they didn't do that anymore. So I'm like, okay, well, who organised that? Or Paul Wilson. But who do I know that knows R. Paul Wilson? So I had friend Ian Kendall, Scottish magician. So I was chatting to Ian, and I was like, and he'd performed there numerous times, and I said, Ian, I want to perform the Magic Castle. He said, Elliot, maybe in a few years. I'm like, no, I'm ready
Young
now.
whippersnapper, calm down.
A couple years later, I'm like, right, I think I'm ready now. I've done all these other things, and I've done these other gigs. I'm performing. He's like, maybe in a year or two. Like, you are ready now. You could do it, but I want you to be like that. I'm like, so I then ended up winning the International Brotherhood of Magicians British Ring Close-Up Championships. So went down to Southport for the convention, and I entered that and I won. And then I also won the Rovey Trophy
with your PATCT, yeah.
No, absolutely not. There was a little bit of manipulation in it. And I also won the Rovey Trophy, which is only awarded if the judges think it's been deemed. What am I saying? Yeah, they only choose it if it's actually been actually won.
Yeah.
And so I won that as well, and that's to do with skill with cards. So I'd won that, and then I actually got an email a week later from Obi, basically inviting me to 4Fs, which was, again, it was like, oh my goodness, these things then just happened from winning that. And then this was literally just before COVID happened. And then unfortunately, obviously, Obi is no longer here, and he was my sort of main contact. So then I'm now like, right, I can't get into 4Fs now because, I could maybe try, but personally, it's almost like imposter syndrome. I'm going, nah, I'm not good enough for that level. But these sort of opportunities came from that. That's because in my head, I thought if I win that, or if I go and do that, then I might almost get recognised to be good enough to do the Magic Castle. So then I was sort of just positioning myself in all these different things. I wrote a lecture. I lectured all over the country, lectured at the Magic Circle. I've actually lectured at the IBM British Ring. So I had the opening lecture, and then I did the closing show where I did my full hour-long fringe show, which was the Elliot Bibby and the Magical Beach Ball. So I was doing all these amazing things, and then I was like, right, surely my sort of magical CV is up there now. And out of the blue, I get a message from Arpa Wilson going, hey, Elliot, what are you doing in January next year? And I'm like, looking at my diary, nothing. I can maybe move a few things around. Literally looking at an empty January.
Well, kind of busy, but depends what's coming.
I said, hey, how about you want to do the castle? So that sort of happened, and it was unbelievable, an amazing experience. And I can totally see now why Ian had said, just wait. Also, actually, to skip back a bit, a lot of I've got to mention actually my influence is Mark James.
That friend of yours. He definitely got to the your influences bit. Didn't hear his name and went, nope.
I know.
Close that down.
He's been a massive influence with the comedy magic and just sort of championed me a bit, especially for the Magic Castle. And he put me in touch with Jack as well, who's the sort of booker there. And I actually got booked during the pandemic to do the Magic Castle Zoom show. So I headlined the Magic Castle Zoom show like 2 years before I then went out and did it in person. But that was straight after the pandemic. So I'd just done the Coventry Fringe Festival, rock and roll, down there with my good friend Jester Styles. It's another influence. Actually, we sort of, he has influenced my sort of style. So yeah, he's in there as well. But yeah, we'd done that together, and I'd just driven like 8 hours up. I got home at about 10 p.m. and I had to stay up till like 2 in the morning because of the time difference, do this Zoom show. And then I did the show, and I was sort of just messing around, like sort of backstage, well, not backstage, but sort of backstage via Zoom with the performers. And I now know that they'd basically phoned Jack and got him on the Zoom call to watch my performance, because he sort of appeared and watch my performance, and then straight after the performance, it was like 4 a.m. I'm like, I'm about to go to sleep. I'm turning off all my cameras and lights in my mini studio that I'd created for doing my Zoom shows. I get this American phone number come from. What the hell? So I answer, and he's like, "Hey, it's Jack here from the castle. I just really wanted to say I really enjoyed your performance." And I was just like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll have to get you out here sometime. Like, they'd love you out here." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, thanks."
I guess I can do that.
Okay. And then I put the phone down. I was almost like, I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it. I was just like, oh my! I actually burst into tears. I was like, oh my god, this is almost like a dream come true type thing. Took 2 to 3 years for it to happen, but it still happened when I then did it in person. And oh my goodness, what a place! Amazing.
It looks sensational. It's one of my sort of goals to get out there and see some of those. Not a chance I'd be able to perform there any day, but
never know.
Never know. Just a quick interruption before we get into the next question. Obviously, with this podcast comes a ton of recommendations from guests of either books or tricks, and logically, I turn to MAGICBOX. Not only do they usually have exactly what I need, but I can get it the next day. Plus, Graham and the team really know their magic, so if I have any questions or queries about a product, they're ready to answer over the phone or email. And as a bonus for you listeners at home, you can also grab 10% off with the code PATCT. Just head to magicbox.uk.com and use the code at the checkout. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. Now back to the episode. We're going to take a quick look at a short snippet from your Magic Castle performance, and then we'll discuss it afterwards. So if you're listening to this on the Apple and Spotify, who am I, my mum? If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then please do check it out on YouTube. We'll have the clip in there, or in the show notes I'll have the full link to Elliot's entire performance. But if you are watching it on YouTube and you're watching this in real time, we're going to sort across to Elliot's performance. We'll quickly have a watch of this, and then we'll break down exactly why you put this act together, and we'll look into sort of the creative aspects of how this all came about.
Barndy. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, it's my birthday, why do I get to sign a card? So for you, I want you to take out anyone you like the look of, you're going to sign it for. Anyone.
Do you have another thing to write over?
Oh yes, I do. The Ace of Spades. Perfect. Good choice. Give me a pen. Go ahead, nice and big on the Ace of Spades. You could draw a little picture as well if you want. You could write a number. You do whatever you want. Put today's date so you remember it. Do that. I'm going to also introduce you to my 2 friends here, Laurel and
Arnie.
Steve. It's Laurel. Laurel and Steve, the 2. Laurel and Steve, the 2 jokers. In a second, they're going to try and find your card, okay? First, we're going to show you. Sign. Choose. I want to just, in fact, we're going to show Laurel and Steve as well the card. You got it, yeah? Nice. You pop it back into the middle card. Which one would you like to go first to find the card, Laurel or Steve? Steve. He's going to go into the middle of the deck of cards, face up the way, to try and find your card. So all you need to do is just give a little rub like this, and it goes all the way into the middle to try and find your card. And he really has gone into the middle to try and find the card. Laurel. He's also going to go into the middle, except this time I'm going to do it one-handed. I know, one-handed. Keep your eye
No, it's coming here.
on low. All I need to do is give a little shake. It goes all the way into the middle to try and find the card. So at this part of the trick, Laurel and Steve, they're running around the deck of cards. They're trying to find your card. You see them running around?
Uh-huh.
But that card definitely wasn't hot, no. But you can definitely see them running around. I think they've got it, they've just stopped. Let's have a look and see if they've managed to find your... middle, Laurel and Steve, they've managed to find one card trapped between them. So out of all of these cards, whee, they've got one between. Go ahead, do the honours. If you turn it over and show everybody, did they manage to find it? They did decide Now I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you into a little secret. I'm going to tell you exactly how they did it. Okay? Laurel and Steve have a very specific set of skills. They can actually take cards and turn them invisible. Let me show you what I mean. So we take the two jokers, Laurel and Steve, your ace of spades, leave the cards over here. Joker, ace of spades, joker. Watch close. It's a little wave. That's when it happens. They've managed to turn your card invisible. No, it really is invisible. It's still there, it's just invisible. Do you want to feel it? It's still there. That's it. You definitely saw them running around the deck, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But you can't feel that there.
No.
Place it back into the deck of cards. So this part of the trick, I can't see it. You guys can't see it. Even the two jokers, Laurel and Steve, they can't see it either because it's invisible. The only way we can make it come back is to reverse the process. And what I mean by that is we're going to take every single card there and turn them invisible. So all those cards will turn invisible, your ace of spades will come back for the big finale. Now I guarantee you, this will be the one moment that you remember for the rest of the night. You'll be like, oh my goodness, that Scottish magician, Elliot Bibby, I couldn't understand half the words of what he was saying. But when he turned those cards invisible, amazing. You'll probably remember this moment for the next 6 months. Everyone you chat to, you're like, oh, I was at the world famous Magic Castle. I saw this Scottish guy, Elliot, and he took the cards, turned them invisible. Amazing. You'll probably remember this moment for the rest of the year. Everyone you chat to, you'll be like, oh, I was at the Magic Castle. Saw this guy, I think he was English. He took the cards, turned them invisible. Amazing. One day, you'll probably remember this moment for the rest of your life. The moment these cards touch the table again, your card comes back, every single individual card turns invisible. So 3, 2, 1. Every single card turns invisible in the deck. Every single one. Apart from your signed ace of spades. Thank you very much. You can keep this as a little souvenir to remind you of your beautiful birthday here today. Thank you so much for helping out. Thank you so much as well, Christine. You guys have been an amazing audience. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Enjoy your rest of your evening here at the Magic.
How many times have you watched that?
That's the first time I've watched that in a while, actually. I'm getting quite emotional watching that. I'm like quite proud to watch that. So,
how did you specifically choose? Obviously, the Magic Castle set that you did is approximately 20 minutes long. How did you choose the tricks that you were going to do with that? And how does that process work from a Magic perspective? Do you get to go into this with exactly what you want to do? Are there certain criteria that you have to meet for the performances? Or is it just sort of as in what you want?
It obviously has to be good.
Yeah.
For me, anyway, it had to be good. I wanted to go into it doing original stuff, because you've got one performance. I had David Regal sitting in the front row watching me.
No pressure.
Luckily, yeah, exactly, no pressure. But then there's like, I don't really know that. I don't really watch that many films. So obviously you're in LA, you're in Hollywood, and the Magic Castle, it's like no phone policy. So a lot of big celebrities and well-known people do go there to almost escape and also be entertained and have a good night out without like paparazzi and stuff. But because I don't really watch that many films, I don't really know who anybody is, which is quite good because I don't know who I was performing to.
Afterwards, it's like, oh, this person. You're like, oh.
That's how I approach all my gigs. Really, is everyone is just human.
Yep.
Like they're all going to get the same treatment. So yeah, so that's why it was important for me, is because I wanted people to see original stuff that they hadn't seen before. So I only did 3 routines. This is actually something, I know, a little golden nugget here for the listeners. Something I learned from Ian Kendall, the name that I mentioned earlier, is the difference between a trick and a routine. Like when I was putting my very first Fringe show together, I just had like tricks, which was just a one-off trick. Whereas a routine is made up of several tricks or moves or whatever. So there was 3 routines in my Magic Castle act. The first one was a sort of ambitious card style thing where it ended up in a Mercury box. Sorry, not a Mercury box, a Kennedy box. There's half a method there for you. Yeah, signed card ended up inside a wooden box. And the second routine was the Bibby Bullet, where a spectator would select a card, sign it, and then they would shoot a hole through it, and then it was just here.
Look at
the products I've released.
Man's out here promoing halfway through. We're not even at the end yet. Getting the promos in early.
And yeah, that's a trick that I do pretty much every set that I do anyway, because it's flown under the radar of every magician and it's so strong. And only now there's a few magicians that are doing it and they realize how strong it is. I think it's overlooked because it's so simple.
Yeah.
Craig Petty gave me an amazing quote. He was like, this trick should be classed as the same category as like Omni Deck, Double Cross, like, and a few other things. And I was just like, oh my God. But it's flown under the radar. So that was in the middle. And then my final routine was this one that we've just watched there, where spectator signs a card, and it's based on the Biddle trick, which is in the Royal Road to Card Magic. There you go.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle. So yeah, it's based on the Biddle trick with a different finale where every single card turns invisible, which is Joshua J's Phantom deck, with a few other little moves thrown in there, subtleties. Yeah, but yeah, the reason I wanted to make it original is because I'm going there. There's obviously, it's one of the best places in the world to perform magic, and it's all material that I've been doing. I didn't go there to try out new stuff.
Yeah,
it's not the place to be trying
to be doing so.
And it's like what Ian said years and years ago, like, go there, do your best stuff, and then you'll get invited back. So I've still not been invited back yet, but maybe one day.
So about that.
Apparently there's lots of changes and stuff that's going on, so hopefully we can hopefully I'll get invited back at some point. But yeah,
it's crossed. An insane show at the Magic Castle would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be really good actually.
One day.
Not a million miles away. Could happen.
One day.
But yeah, that's why I sort of chose those routines, and I've been doing them for years. I know they work, and it's very sort of minimal props. It was all cards actually, but also uses audience participation. People get souvenirs that you take away with. So a lot of stuff that I would put into my normal weddings and corporate stuff for a marketing site would also go into this as well. And there's also a lot of technical stuff in it as well. So when I take this, so it wouldn't be Elliot Bibby if it wasn't technical.
Yep.
So yeah, that's why I sort of put those in there, and I enjoy performing them, which obviously comes across, and I can also be entertaining as well because they are my effects that I've created. So
yeah, I think that's one of the great things about doing something so often that it becomes muscle memory. Obviously, we mentioned before that sometimes it can get a bit robotic, but it does allow you to really engage with your audience and really sort of riff with them and be in the moment, because you're not thinking about the moves, you're not thinking about what's coming next, you're not thinking about the counts that you're doing or the technical things. You're just able to be present in the moment, and it makes for significantly better misdirection because you're not stopping or pausing or looking whilst you're doing stuff. You can literally just go as and when, and yeah, people can feel the difference massively.
Yeah, there was a few moments in that routine actually talking about it. At the very start, when I pulled out that little bit of like plastic. So
I assume
usually,
that's to stop the Sharpie from going out of the close-up
yeah.
table.
So I'm performing at the Magic Castle. That is a very famous card table.
I'll be getting permanent marker on that.
Exactly. So I was like, what can I do? And I'd taken loads of the duty-free bags that you had to put your liquids in.
Yeah.
So I basically just cut that out and just put it down. So then when people are signing it, because I was like, I'm Scottish. I think it was at the start of my performance, I say I'm Scottish, and one of the stereotypes that is we're tight with money. Hence why I don't want to replace this whole new table if you get a pen on it. So I brought my own little protection and sat that down. So I did that a couple of times. And then also as well, when I asked her about, I think previously I'd got her to feel when I do the Bibby bullet and they then go to take the card out, I always get them to feel the card and see if it's still hot.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not hot, but there's sometimes when they say, oh yeah, I can feel that it's still hot. She was just like, no, I can't feel it. It's not hot. I'm like, okay. So that's why it was a little callback there to like, oh yeah, you can see the two jokers running around the deck of cards, can you? But you didn't feel that card being hot. All right then.
And again, they're the kinds of things that you can do when you've got a routine more so than just trick. You can have those callbacks. You can have those set moments where you can riff and go back to things that you'd already done. And again, it creates moments and memories for the person because they're like, oh, he's remembered something that happened earlier, even though it was in the moment and it was a thing that we shared. Like, he's recalled that. And so obviously it makes it more personal too.
Absolutely. It's just, for me, it's magic's a tool to just go out, have a laugh with people. I don't take myself too seriously when I'm performing, which it sort of comes across, and it's just be quite a likable person. Instead of, oh, look at me, I'm a magician, look what I can do.
Yeah.
Most of the magic I do, I'm getting the spectator to do it or other people to do it, and it's not a sort of a show of me.
Spectator clip shift must be really difficult, or classic force. Obviously, you mentioned before that you do a lot of corporate stuff and a lot of wedding stuff. One of the things that sort of differentiates you from a lot of other wedding magicians, especially in the UK, is you also offer hosting packages. So not only are you doing the magic entertainment, you're also hosting and sort of organizing the entire day. How did that come about? Why did you make that decision? And if others are looking to also do that, do you have any advice that you can offer in doing so? Because I can imagine it's not the kind of thing that everybody could do because it is very organized, very niche, and the entire day resting on your shoulders must be a very daunting thing.
Yeah, I'm quite an organized person. I'm almost like the dad of the group for Insane Magic.
Almost?
Like,
what do you mean almost? You are the dad of the group for Insane.
Oh, I am, yeah. I've got two kids, so I am. But I'm literally walking around with like props lists and all sorts, like before the show, making sure everything. The guy's like, oh, Elliot, like we need to open the doors. I'm like, no, if this pencil isn't in the right position, then when we won't get it in 40 minutes time, it's gonna. So yeah, I'm very like OCD with that, but I think you have to be organized when it comes to the sort of the wedding hosting side. But how did I get into it? Well, I was at a venue in Glasgow and I was just doing the close-up magic. I would go in, do the drinks reception, so when the couple are away getting their photographs taken, I'd go in, wouldn't even know the groom's name half the time. I'd have to check on the big
board at the front.
Yeah, because I'd just been dealing with the bride, and to me it was just a job, in, out, done. And I was packing my stuff away one day at this venue, and I knew the photographer, and he was basically saying, you should probably hang around and see this. It's going to be an absolute car crash. And I was like, well, what's he talking about? And I didn't really know how wedding days worked at that point because I'd never been there for a full day. Yeah. I'd been to a couple of, maybe one or two weddings with friends, like when friends had got married and stuff, or family members. But the couple are then about to get announced in. And what the photographer had said was that this venue, it was quite a big venue, and they were running multiple events. So they had 4 events on. So the wedding and then 3 others, and all the event managers were off. So it was down to this 17-year-old guy who'd been in the job for like 2 weeks to basically run this wedding. And he had to basically do the couple's big announcement into the room and then announce the speeches. And he didn't know what he was doing because he'd was well younger than me at that point. So if I didn't know, how was he going to know? So the photographer had said, right, you need to announce the couple in Mr. and Mrs. whatever Smith, and then announce the speeches. There's 3 speeches: father of the bride, the groom, and the best man. So 17-year-old kid goes away and he's like, right, everyone, start clapping your hands, and it's now Mr. and Mrs. Smith, right? And it was honestly just like that, with the pauses, the M's.
Yeah.
Everyone's about like, right. Oh, he'd come, yeah, woo, okay. And then he's like, right, everyone sit down. Speeches time. Best man, you go first. Right? And the photographer had to interrupt. He was like, oh my God, like, no, it's the father of the bride first. Sorry about this. And I was just sitting there cringing, going, oh my God. And when I was driving home, I was thinking about it, going, this is the biggest day of someone's life. They've paid a lot of money. And for that to happen is terrible. Now, at this point in my career, I'd been doing a lot of stage stuff, so I was used to performing on stage anyway, and also hosting. I was running a monthly magic show in Edinburgh called the Edinburgh Magic Show, where I would book...
Real creative name.
Yeah, I took the day off after we came up with that one. And so I ran it with another girl, Mary, and we did that, and yeah, it was great. I used to book like 6 acts, all magicians, and I used to host that. And sometimes I'd bring in hosts, so I'd learn from them. So I was doing the sort of hosted bits anyway. And then I saw an advert for Paul Martin's wedding MC course. And I was like, oh, that sounds quite interesting. And so I jumped on like a call with Paul, and I'd sort of known about Paul from a couple of routines he'd put out, like Paul's Balls and his bank night routine stuff. And I jumped on a Zoom call with him, and it sounded exactly what I needed at this time in my career. And I'd always sort of been investing in myself, really, not just buying the latest magic tricks, but buying like courses like on marketing. And I was on Ken Dine's, Kennedy's, what was it called? Epic Entrepreneurs Inner Circle thing for like 3 or 4 years, and learn all about the business and the marketing side of things that way. And these things aren't cheap. They're a lot of money, but for me, it's if you buy something, you're gonna have to use it. So I mean, Paul's stuff isn't cheap either. And I know a lot of people will complain about it, or they don't like it. But for me, I've told Paul this, and he knows it, but doing that course has literally changed. I was going to say changed my life. It's changed my business, really. Going from earning, I can now charge triple what I was earning, or triple what I would normally charge for a wedding back then, and more, by doing the hosting. But it's not just about, like, there's lots of people that have bought that course and they've just bought it, looked at it for like 10 minutes, and then just gone, back to the latest magic trick. Just by buying the course doesn't mean you can do it. You have to actually invest the time, read it all, and actually do what it says on the course. It sounds stupid, but it's true.
It's like anything, man. The amount of like motivational videos or like dieting videos that I've watched and been like, hey, that's a great concept. Like, maybe if you put time into counting your calories and going to the gym instead of sitting watching these videos, would change.
But yeah, it's totally true. And I've just gone out, I've done it, and I've followed it. And obviously, I had a bit of a background in weddings anyway, and I was doing the gigs. But by adding this hosting side, I've just seen such a difference, and what a difference it makes on the actual wedding day for the couples that I do now. So instead of me going out and doing 2, sometimes 3 gigs in a day, so I would do maybe like a wedding in the afternoon, maybe a party in the evening, and then I would do my residency at night, 3 gigs. And I wouldn't do any of the nightclub stuff now, I'm too old for that. But yeah, I just do 1 gig a day, 1 wedding, and it doesn't matter if it's drink reception or half day hosting or full day hosting, just 1 gig a day. And I charge enough that it doesn't matter what it is for that. And that's not like a egotistical way, it's just I know what it is worth. So that's why I charge these amounts. And the difference it makes is I now get to meet with the couples beforehand a couple of times. Most of the couples that I perform for and do the hosting stuff are friends, and they become friends. I've got them all on social media, and we're all interacting because it's that personal. You get to spend time with them beforehand, and I find out all about their day, what they want, and I'm there on the day. Like the typical wedding day is like I'm there at like 10 in the morning before they've even got dressed, while they're having breakfast probably. Maybe a little bit later than that. But I'm there really early, and I'm almost like an extra wedding coordinator in the day. Like I've got a bag of stuff in the boot of my car. It's got like door stops in it, like lighters, first aid kits,
all the things you wouldn't think about, all the things you'd forget.
Exactly. All these random things. The amount of times I've been asked by like a groom, "Oh, have you got any like lip seal or Vaseline?" I'm like, yeah, there you go. Boom. That was like a magic trick because they're like, so. But yeah, it's just things like that. Just thinking, how can you make this day go as smoothly as possible for this couple? So yeah, join the course. Join Paul's course. I'm
That's
such
the advice.
But only if it's right for you. Don't just join it because you want to earn loads of money and you want to be a rock star. Like if you are doing weddings, then great. It's just such a great thing, and for me, I've put the time in, and I want to do that.
Yeah,
and I want to make a difference to people's wedding days. So
it's the difference between really wanting to give them a special day and just wanting to get in, do your tricks, get out, go home, or on to the next gig. Like it depends.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
There's a great market for the UK. There's a great market in the UK for being that close-up magician and going in, entertain everyone. But for me, I wanted to make it a bit more personal. I actually wanted to find out what the groom's name was. And just get to know them and be a part of it. And I've noticed it in the reviews and testimonials I get now, and just the way it is. Yeah, so it's
I've seen a lot of the testimonials come through on your social media and stuff, and people are really like bigging you up for making their day so much more than they even expected it to be. It's nice that you can add that level, even more so than just entertaining the guests and entertaining the bride and groom. Being able to add an entire new level to that makes it so much more worthwhile for them and obviously for you as well.
Yeah, I think it's also the venues that I work as well are nice venues, and it's not like I'm going to like cheap wedding venues and charging hardly any money and just doing 3 or 4 a day or whatever. I'm going to some of the top venues, and I'm seeing how, me as a person, I watch everything, so I see how even the staff members at these top places. Like I had a residency at Gleneagles. Every Wednesday I was up there for a couple of years, and just seeing how the staff work there, and it's just like the next level. So I'm trying to take that and put it into my own performance and my own sort of business as well.
Constantly learning and adapting.
Yeah, to give that sort of world-class service. And that's what Paul says in the course, is you've got to deliver that world-class service.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's the most important day of that person's life. So if you can make it as smooth and as enjoyable as possible, then that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned earlier on as well that you also do corporate work. Having worked with some of the biggest clients in the world at corporate events, how do you go about catering your magic or the magic that you're doing to their message and to get their point across? Obviously, you mentioned recently to myself that you were working in the airport for various different whiskey companies and a multitude of other things. How are you taking what a brand is giving you and then making magic from that to make it unique?
So this is what, obviously doing the weddings and the corporate close-up magic and the after-dinner performances, that's what pays the bills. But this side of the corporate side, so basically designing tricks for, be it for companies if I'm working in there on like a trade show stand, for example, or customized tricks for like a product launch or something like that. That's where I can be creative, and I love doing that. And that's why I do the Edinburgh Fringe every year, so I can be creative. But the way in which I sort of do it is what Luke touched on, his sort of creativity process, spending so much time with him. So if you're not listening to Luke's episode, go back and listen to that on this podcast because it's brilliant. And I think it was something he mentioned from Tom Elderfield, a technique where, say, a whiskey company, for example, which is something that I've just been working for recently at Edinburgh Airport, Diageo, who own a few different whiskey brands, but they basically said, well, I turned up and they were like, oh, can you do some customized stuff? And I was like, well, I've not really been booked to do this. You usually charge a lot more, and I literally have hardly anything with me. And this is all going through my head. But I was like, for me, no worries. Nothing's an issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
say yes now, figure it out later.
That is one of my biggest...
Consultancy to a degree right there.
Honestly, say yes to it, then work out how you're going to do it. I've got a funny story about that, which we'll go to, about turning water into wine. So remind me about that.
Okay.
So I basically said yes to I can do that for you. 5 minutes later, have you got any empty whiskey bottles? Yeah, great. Okay. Take an empty whiskey bottle, and that was sitting on the sort of stand. And my job was to basically stop people in duty free and sell them these very expensive bottles of whiskey. And the last thing you want to do when you're in duty free walking through is stop and see a magic trick from a magician. You're just trying to get through that and get to Wetherspoons to get a pint in Edinburgh anyway, or get to the lounges, or get your flight if you're running through. So it was quite a difficult one, but we did really well. And the trick that I did was I'd have someone select a card, it disappeared from the deck, and it reappeared inside a whiskey bottle. And within the first half an hour, I had the full sales pitch down from the actual rep as well. I was like, "Oh, the card here is now disappeared." Or, again, it would be a classic force because I'm like straight out there.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert, classic force. But then within that, I would then control the card to a certain location in the deck. The card would then disappear from the deck. I'm not trying to palm anyone off here, but it would disappear from the deck. Yeah, Penn and Teller stuff. And I would then spread the cards on the table and be like, yeah, what was your card? They'd be like, 4 of hearts. Yeah, you can see in this deck of cards, there is no 4 of hearts in this deck. And that's because in front of you the whole time on the table has been the, whatever, Glenfiddich 14-year-old whiskey, which is actually from a Caribbean rum cask or blah, blah, blah. It's a new blend that they got. And I would just go into this almost sales pitch type thing. Well, you can try it if you want. You can smell the peaty flavors coming through and all this stuff. And it was almost me going back 10, 15 years to when I was working in Hamleys, selling that. I got a lot of full circle moments in this podcast.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, of me being on that stand and selling stuff. I love selling other people's stuff.
You want to work with Stand Up Blackpool? Because
honestly, I worked on Luke's stand actually.
Yeah, I remember.
For 1 year, and I loved it. Just demoing stuff, selling stuff, and yeah, maybe actually I'm not doing anything. Wasn't planning on going to Blackpool, but maybe. So yeah, it was. Yeah, so that's how I sort of came up with it, and I think it's, to go back to the question of how do I come up with it, it's taking in as much knowledge as possible. So I try and go to as many different magic lectures as possible, even if I don't have an interest in it. For example, like I don't do any kids magic, that's just family entertainment, but I don't do straight up kids shows, but I still go to a kids lecture so that there might be 1 or 2 bits of absolute gold in there. I listen to loads of magic podcasts, performers that I know, performers that I don't know, because you never know, there might be 1 or 2 little bits in there that I can then take or I might not use it now, but I'll use it in the future.
Yeah. Same with like books and things. I always try and read as many books as I can, even if it's stuff that I'm never going to perform, because there's still those little golden nuggets in there that can be taken and adapted to whatever else.
Yeah. So that's actually I've got one actually for next year that's just been confirmed. I'm performing on a yacht in Cannes during the Cannes Film Festival.
Don't matter.
I know. And it's on they're chartering this yacht, this company, and they're a big tech company, and they want me to basically do a little bit close-up magic, little stand-up show for 20 minutes, and then do a big trick as they're coming back into port.
Yeah.
So I've convinced the company to spend a lot of money on massive billboards throughout the town in Cannes, and a massive billboard on the top of a hotel, which is going to have a prediction on it. I was trying to get them to get a plane as well. You know, they've got the messages.
Yeah.
So, but it's almost like that thing with Darren Brown, where remember how he sort of what's that again? I think it's like the guy describes a picture, and then he's got the prediction as the picture, and he talks about how he's influenced that guy's decision because of his journey into the thing today. So it's going to be that sort of thing where it's going to be, I'm going to have 3 suggestions from people, and then all 3 of those things are predicted because they're on a giant billboard that you can see as we're coming back into port. But also, if they then walk around Cannes for the rest of the week, they'll see other posters around the place with the company's logo. So say, for example, it was, I don't know, pick your favorite fruit, and then it's just a massive bunch of bananas in the middle of the bowl with other fruit around it. It doesn't mean anything to anyone, but maybe bananas. So then later on, when they go back and they see, like in Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself with the brick.
Yeah, the golden brick.
Yeah.
Phenomenal show as well. That always comes up on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, sensational show.
Yeah.
Obviously, another thing that sort of culminated from all of the stuff that you've done is, as we've mentioned many a time, and as has been mentioned on previous podcasts, was working with Insane Magic, obviously Cammy and Luke. How has that whole process influenced what you now do, both in a performance perspective and in your solo stuff? How has what you've learned from them and sort of the stage time as a trio then impacted what you're doing now on your own?
I sort of touched on it earlier when
it's like it hasn't.
touched on it earlier when I bigged them up, which I now know they didn't do on their episodes, so that was nice. But yeah, I think just what I talked about earlier about just being a bit more precise, being more organized, and just we always say, is it insane enough?
Yeah.
So if we come up with an idea, is it insane enough?
It's a pretty bold title that you kind of have to, everything has to abide by that. Like you are promising 1 hour of insane magic, so to hold everything, every single beat to that standard must be difficult to find stuff that's constantly living to that name.
Yeah, it is, and especially my sort of role in it is the sleight of hand magician as well. So insane magic that is sleight of hand based. It's I suppose that almost
on a large scale that works to 300 people.
Yeah. So I mean, we've managed to do it so far over the last 3 years, and I think we still will continue because of the way in which all 3 of us work together and the rest of the team as well, you included.
Picking everyone up today. Look at you.
That's just the type of guy. I'm just.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Is obviously a lot more than people see on stage. There's a lot of moving cogs behind the scenes, and it's very cool to see, and it's nice to be part of that in a small way.
It's like anything, when you see something starting to get a little bit of success, they're like, oh, that was an overnight success. Whereas it's taken years and years. I mean, this was my 12th year doing the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah.
And I've played to rooms of like 3 people on a Wednesday night when it's chucking it down with rain, when you go out for like 2 hours, and I've been out there for 2 hours handing out flyers in the pissing down rain. Get in, and then you got to G yourself up to try and do an hour-long solo show to 3 people. It's like, what am I doing with my life? But that's Edinburgh, and I've been there, I've done it all, so it's actually quite nice now to actually be sort of rewarded with the nice big audiences, and I was going to say paychecks, but
what paycheck?
Yeah, everyone thinks it's all glamorous. Oh, you must be making a killing. Yeah.
Straight back into the business, straight into the next show.
Yeah.
Onwards and upwards, which is what it has to be. Like, if you're going to constantly produce bigger and better shows, it needs that level of investment. It needs that, well, yeah, investment from all three of you guys, whether that's monetary, whether that's time. It's constantly striving for bigger and better things. And I know even just little bits and pieces that have been discussed for next year's show, it's going to be bigger and better. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes over the next few years, because I don't know how, there has to be a cap. There has to be a point where you get to and you're like, okay, how on earth do we top that?
Monster truck. Monster truck appearance.
Monster truck would do it.
Elric Brothers won't be using that for their whole lives, will they?
Yeah,
it's got to go somewhere.
May as well get use out of it. I'm sure that'll fit into a Fringe venue nice and easy. Those notoriously fast turnarounds.
20-minute turnaround time.
Yep.
Wheel the truck in.
My goodness.
I think I've learned a lot. The main thing I've learned is scripting. I was notoriously bad for scripting, and still am, really. But it's one thing that it's been drilled into me to learn a script.
Yeah.
And it's quite difficult when you get like a script written for you and you have to learn it. And that's something I learned this year. After last year, it was pretty much Luke and Cameron that wrote most of the show, both shows.
Yep.
Because they were living together 24/7 on a cruise ship. In fact, there was one point actually where we were on the 3 furthest points in the world. So I was in Scotland, Cameron was in like New Zealand, and Luke was in Vegas, and we were all trying to like put ideas together.
It was like weeks before the Fringe, wasn't it? It was like 2 weeks before.
Yeah, because we just decided to scrap it and just start again.
It's intense, man.
Yeah, I mean the couple of weeks before the Fringe is pretty intense, but I think like 3 years on, we've managed to sort of. Well, I've realised that for me to actually learn a script, I actually have to write it.
Yeah.
I can't have it written for me. So I think they've sort of realised that as well. And I guess I'm terrible at learning lines, so I have to really have something, and I really have to drill it and really learn it weeks before. And then when I do that, it's funny that it just works.
Fringe, that, isn't it?
Great show. Funny that. Yeah,
or at least it works 90% of the time. There's still some fumbles on everyone's part.
But yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
But yeah, to answer your question, that's probably the main thing that I've learned is scripting, which you have to have in a 3-man act.
Yeah,
I think when we first started this, a lot of people just thought we were just going to get up and do 20 minutes each.
Yeah,
do 20 minutes each individually. So, but no, we are literally on stage at the same time.
Not always, for anybody that hasn't seen, but yeah, for the most part, there's a lot of 3-person acts. It would be crazy to try and watch that show if it wasn't scripted. If you guys were just winging it every night, that would be wild. And to be fair, there's some ad-lib moments throughout the Fringe that were hilarious, and show pranks and a multitude of other things. So
there's a routine that never actually made it. No, it's not made it into any of the shows yet.
For good or bad reason.
I think it will. Well, I'm going to push for it to be in next year, where it is going to be like a sort of ad-lib bit, and none of us know what parts we're going to be doing in it.
That sounds ruthless.
But like, I mean, I did a show at the Fringe years ago called Dave and Elliot's Wheel of Magic, and it was an improv magic show. Do you know about this?
I read it on your list of accolades.
Oh, yeah. So basically, myself and another magician, Dave, did a late night show at 10 p.m. where we had a big wheel that had 12 different sections. We'd spin. We had a guest act as well that did
not
like
the wheel
10...
from Blackpool last year, is it? A very expensive wheel.
That one, no. No, it wasn't.
It was improv.
But, well, we had like a bunch of just random props and routines and stuff backstage anyway. Oh, I say backstage. It was behind 2 roller banners. It was a free Fringe venue. That was our backstage. But we had like Ben Hart come and do it a couple of times. We had like loads of other names, like big Fringe names do it. And it was great fun. They would do like their 10-minute act, and then they would come and join us, and we'd have 12 random words on this wheel, and we'd rub off like 3 or 4 of them and get audience suggestions. So, spoiler alert, the other like 9 were all tricks related to things we had backstage. But for those 3 or 4 random words, that was genuinely improv, and 9 times out of 10 it would land on one of those ones. This is a 10 p.m. show, free fringe, late night, anything goes type thing.
Yeah.
And the audience, you could feel the audience like wanting it to stop on one of their suggestions.
Yeah.
And then we would play a big countdown timer, 10 seconds, and we had 10 seconds to come up with who was going to do the trick and what trick you were going to do relating to that word. Now, I did about 95% of all the ad-lib ones, and we'd maybe do 3 or 4 in the show.
What was the most ludicrous suggestion that was thrown out?
Bukkake.
And it landed on that?
Oh yeah, it's landed on that. It landed on cat fisting, big toe. Like these were the 3 worst ones. You can bleep them out actually.
No, they're getting left in.
Actually, you might want to do that again. I'll maybe not say them.
Nope, that's staying in.
So what was the 3 most ridiculous thing? Oh, I'll tell you what.
No, that's not how this is working. That is staying in full.
Big toe was one. I basically did like a card stab type thing. So I had someone select a card. They signed it, put it back into the deck, threw the cards up in the air, did like a karate kick. And then I'm like hopping around on one foot. And I was like, oh, inside my shoe is... Oh, nothing. Oh, your card's got to be somewhere. Oh, inside my sock. What was the word again? Big toe. Up there beside my big toe, pierced all the way through it, is your signed card. Yeah, it was, and I came up with that whole routine method in 10 seconds.
Jeez.
So it was an amazing experience doing that every night for the Fringe.
Yeah.
Coming up with just crazy routines. I really wish we'd filmed the shows. We didn't really film them.
Yeah.
But since like previous years, I film every single performance I do now because you never know what's going to happen. I think it's how like Jim Jeffries, comedian, got famous, wasn't it? He got punched or water thrown in his face, and it was filmed. So and it went viral.
Is sensational.
Yeah, so
it's very opinionated. But yeah, he's a hilarious guy. We're going to sort of wrap up the podcast. Has been absolutely phenomenal, and the advice that you've offered has been invaluable. We're going to end with one final new segment. I say new. It's been new for like 12 episodes now.
I've got that story actually before you do that.
Oh yeah, the
water to wine.
Water to wine, yes.
Before we get into this new segment, this trick is, and it goes, it's say yes to everything, then work out how you're going to do it. And this is what I always do. So, corporate client, I'm based up in Edinburgh. They said, right, we've got this big after dinner show that we want you to do, Elliot, 20 minutes after dinner. And this is when I was just sort of starting out in the sort of after dinner scene. 20 minutes after dinner, you can do that. 200 people in the room, and it's in London. Right, okay. I get to travel out of Scotland. This is, it's exciting. International gig. So the guy said, I'm only going to book you if you can turn water into wine. I was like, all right. And this was before Infinity Wine was even a thing and any other tricks. So I was like, yeah, I do it all the time. Done it in previous Fringe shows. He's like, oh, great, you're booked then. Put the phone down. I'm going to do this. So they booked my flights and accommodation down there. And I'm going to run through the brief method because it's better than the actual trick. Something I created. So I actually took it out of my own pocket, out of my own bank account, travelled down a day early than they thought, booked my own hotel, went into the hotel that the event was happening in, spoke to the manager, and I was like, right, what type of bottles of water are you going to have on the tables during this event? And they showed me a few of them. I was like, can I borrow a couple of them? And the guy was really on board because I sort of told him what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I went back up to the room, emptied half the water out, topped it up with a really cheap dessert, white cheap dessert wine, and then heat sealed the seal back on the top with a hairdryer. So it was a sealed bottle of water then, what it looked like. I had like two or three of them. I then took them down and said to the guy, put them in a special bag. I was like, can you please put these like in the center of the tables, like hidden under the centerpieces? Because I had these amazing big floral centerpieces on the front 3 tables of this thing. He's like, yeah, no worries, I'll make sure they're there, and I'll make sure that no one like touches them and stuff. I was like, great. And then in my case on the stage, I made sure I had a wine glass that had a little bit of red food colouring in the bottom of it. And that was there, right? And I next again day, go on, do the show. Didn't even do the water to wine, right? This is how much I was just like banking on the compere coming up, or the CEO coming up and saying it. So I finished the show. He comes on stage, shakes my hand, thank you very much. And he holds onto my hand, and he's still shaking it. I was like, why is he holding on to it? He said, oh, before you go, you got one final trick, don't you? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, you're going to turn water into wine, aren't you? Like, trying to think he'd got one up on me, like, make me look like an idiot. Like 200 people. Now, he must have told them, because they were all sort of like, they sort of knew it was like an in-joke type thing. And I was like, oh, wait, I've got a wine glass, just, and anyone got any water? Right, playing on is like stupid, but in my head I'm going, oh yes, he's
hook, line, and sinker.
So he's the guy's like, oh yeah, we've actually got some backstage. I'm like, no, let's get some from the front here. He's like, oh, you at the back there, you've got some water, and I'm like, no, let's get one from one of these front tables here. We're running out of time. Come on. So I get one of the waiters that I'd been chatting to. He brings up one of the bottles, literally lifts it from the center of the table. Pass it up. I literally crack it open, take the glass, pour it in. Obviously, as the clear liquid hits the red food colour, it turns red. And I just hand it to him and go, taste that. Is that wine? And because he's got that cheap dessert wine, it's so potent you can taste it. I'm like, yeah, that is wine. Like, standard ovation.
So
straight out.
good.
Thank you very much. Like, the amount of effort I go to create a trick,
Magical
like going
moments,
out early. And I was prepared for him to not even to do the trick as well. I go to so much effort. There was another time actually I was doing a trade show. I'll tell you this quickly, and I knew the CEO. It was like a 2-day event. I knew the CEO was going to be like, "What's your best trick?" Usually people do if you've been hanging around with them for a while. What's your best trick? So that morning I'd had like the morning off, and I found out what room he was staying in the hotel. So I went and stood outside his room, but I took my shoes and socks off and put them in my bag and left my bag around the corner. So I'm standing there barefoot outside the door. Housekeeping come by. I say, oh, I've just locked myself out the room. Can you let me back in? And they're like, yeah, all right. Because why would you be standing barefoot unless you would have been not there? So they let me into the room. Oh, cheers, thanks. Straight into the room, put like a 4 of clubs underneath his pillow. Came back out. And then put my shoes and socks back on, go back to the trade show. Oh, yeah, you got one last trick? Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Reach in, any card you want from me, take out one.
An old chestnut.
Yeah. Oh, you got the 4 of clubs, cool. Watches it, magically disappears. He's like, oh, where is it? And I'm like, it's underneath your pillow. He's like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. I get a phone call at 3 a.m. going, how the f*** are you doing that? So yeah, the lengths I go to create magic. There's another story as well, but we don't have time for it. But it involves a Zoom show and Mark James. So ask me that next time you see it.
I believe either you or Mark have told me this before. Was it going to somebody else's house during a Zoom show?
I'll just say it.
Yeah, quickly go into it. I mean, I say quickly. Some of these podcasts have been like 4 hours long.
So we're doing obviously during the pandemic, we're doing these Zoom shows, but somebody had put in on my inquiry form on my website, they'd put location and they'd actually put their address in, or I think it was their friend's address from where they thought it was the party was going to be taking place. But it turns out that obviously during COVID, we've got all the different screens, all the different households, but I now have this person's address, and it was in like close to where Mark lives. I won't give his actual address there. Central England somewhere. And so I was like, and at this point in the pandemic, I was literally doing Zoom shows and playing Call of Duty. That was literally what I was doing.
That was the life.
Yeah. It was great. Don't play it now. I've not even touched the controller since then. But we were playing every day, so we were chatting, and I said to Mark, I've got this Zoom call in a couple of weeks. And he's like, that's literally around the corner, like 5-minute drive. And I basically came up with this amazing trick where I had the card, selected at random. I used to run my finger across the cards. Yeah. They said stop, I'd come down. And then I'd get loads of bits of information shouted out. So a number, somebody's name, a random animal, and I'd write these down on the randomly selected card. So it was a unique card. Anyway, 45-minute Zoom show goes by. And then at the end, I say, whereabouts, where's the birthday girl? Whatever her name is, whereabouts are you based? And she's like, down wherever, the location. And I was like, there's no way I could know that. No, and she's like, no. And I said, watch your card now. Is it vanishes? I think I'd literally just chucked it over the top of the camera like that. Sorry, that was a method. Spoiler. And I was like, it's now travelling all the way down the A1. It's going down down the motorways. And did you hear that? There's like a knock at the door. I thought, can you just take your laptop and go to your front door? Anyway, they opened the front door, and literally, like, on their little light at the front door is the signed card.
With their suggestions written on it.
With all the suggestions, and they're just freaking out. And I've got it all on video. It's because we shoot the whole thing. And basically what happened was I had all these multiple cameras set up for my Zoom show, but I had my phone on FaceTime to Mark. And Mark had driven past in the morning to check they never had a Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
That would have been awkward. And they never, thankfully. And that evening he was sitting around the corner from their house on FaceTime to me. And as I went to show the card up to the camera, I held it up. And he just took a screenshot of that, and he had a deck of red bites in his card, duplicated the card, out. And by the time the show had finished, he was still sitting watching it on his phone back in his living room in the house. But yeah, and then after the show, I turned my screen off, which is the Zoom equivalent of doing. This is a bit of advice I got from Paul Daniels, actually. So if you've listened this long in it, you're going to get an absolute gem. He basically said at the end of like a stage show, go and sit in the toilets in a cubicle, because that's where you'll get the best feedback. Yeah, and all this feedback, because everyone's just that was great. How did you do this bit? And so you just sit there with a notepad. And the couple of occasions that I met him, I got absolute gold from him, and that was one of them. So that was the Zoom equivalent of that is turning my screen off and saying bye, everyone. But I just sat there and listened, and they were like, he must have people stationed all over the UK, or
ready and waiting.
Yeah, and then the woman was like, but you booked them and you never gave them the address. And she's like, no, I never gave them the address at all. And because she'd filled in my inquiry form, she would never have seen that address ever again. So again, it's going to those absolute extremes. And then she was like, maybe he's got a printer and located at different locations, and he's used a courier, but they just think that
high-end Royal Mail on speed dial.
Yeah, they think I do that for every single show.
Again, it's those moments that seem like they're just spur of the moment, which in this case they were. But
I did it as well in a Zoom show when the mum had said, we actually live round the corner from you, because on my invoice had my address.
Oh yeah.
So I used to send the cards and stuff in the post for people to keep, and I actually hand-delivered that one. I said to the guy, it was a kid's birthday, an 8-year-old party, which I was fine doing on Zoom. And I'll do any type of Zoom show, kids' parties, adults, corporate, anything. And at the end of the thing, I was like, I'm now going to make your cards disappear, and actually, no, I didn't say it would disappear. I put a little envelope I said, I'm now going to get this delivered via owl mail. You know, like in Harry Potter, and the kids were, oh, yeah. It usually takes about 20 minutes or so you might hear it in the door.
Let me just check Google Maps. Yep, about 20 minutes or so.
But I got a really nice email from the mum going, oh, they were still on the Zoom call. I did leave that Zoom call because I had to go get my shoes on and jacket and run out the door. And he said the kids were all still on the Zoom call when that came through the door. So it was a really nice moment because they were like, oh, that was the owl delivery.
No way.
So, yeah, there's 3 stories there for you.
Jeez, going above and beyond.
So don't just turn up and with your deck of cards and sponge balls. Like, you can go the extra mile if you can.
Go above and beyond. Always offer more than you've been paid for.
Just like I have done on this 20-minute podcast.
Yeah, this Quickfire podcast. No, it's been absolutely incredible. As I say, we're going to do one last segment and then we'll wrap it up. We'll talk about your plans for the future and where people can find you. But the last segment is called the question deck segment, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's 52 questions written on 52 different cards. Obviously, they've been shuffled meticulously throughout because, I mean, what else am I supposed to do while I'm talking to people? I've got to keep myself busy.
I wondered what you were doing there. It was out of shot.
My brain just works like that. Obviously, you shout stop. We see what it is. It ranges anywhere from prolific life questions to something silly. So we'll see what it is. So just whenever you want, call it stop.
Stop.
On there, which is what's one value that drives your decisions, magic or otherwise? I don't remember writing that question.
What? Well, you can change it if you want.
I think it's something less prolific.
One value.
One value that you live by that drives your decisions, whether magic or creatively or just on a day-to-day basis.
For me, it's being nice to people. Just being nice to people. Life's too short to hold grudges or that stuff. So, yeah, be nice to people. And that's it.
Wow, what a lovely ending. Yeah, roll credits.
Just be nice to people.
It's free to be nice, man. Like, the amount of people, especially like today, I was stood in the shop and some lady had picked up something that didn't have a barcode or something like that, and the people behind were starting to get angry, and I was just stood there thinking, like, life's too short to waste your time on getting angry. It's not going to make it any faster. Just be nice, chill out, like, enjoy your life, man. Like, life's short.
Paid for someone shopping last week.
Oh, right.
It's driving back up down south from a gig, and I stopped, and it was an old lady, and she had a new bank card. She couldn't get it working. She'd forgotten the pin, and she'd typed it in like twice, and there's a big queue of people behind me. And the cashier was like, "Oh, this is going to be the third time. Like, it's going to block the card. Have you got any other payment?" She's like, "Nah, I don't have any other payment." And she scanned all it. It was like her weekly shop. You could just see it was like one of this one. I felt terrible. I was like, "I'll pay for it." She's like, "Oh no, it's fine. Like, I'm sure I've got something." And then the cashier sort of just pushed her stuff to the side. It had all been scanned my stuff. And I just sort of stood at the back waiting after I'd paid for all my stuff. And I was waiting to see if she had another payment method, and she had like another card. Typed that pin in wrong, and I went up. I was like, "No, it's sure. Like, I'll just get it. It's fine." She's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine." It was like 15 quid or something, which is like the equivalent of what, 2 pints.
Yeah, but, especially in Edinburgh. My goodness.
I know, she's so appreciative of it, and it's like little things like that. Like, in fact, you're actually the first person I've told that I did that. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even told Jenny, my missus, or anyone. It's like, just why would you? I mean, some of the videos you see online of
people doing stuff purely for
views and stuff.
Yeah,
just be nice to people, and if you can make someone's day, then do it. You don't need to tell the world about it.
Always comes back around.
Always
comes back around.
And that's why I'm so grateful that I can do magic as a job to make people's day. Another full circle moment. There you go.
What a beautiful way to end it. Obviously, you have a multitude of different things going forward. You've got lots of gigs, you've got shows coming up. What are your plans for the future? Is there anything that you can tell us about or tease?
So I'm actually working on 2 solo shows. Just looking, Cameron, I would love to hear. Exclusive. So yeah, we've got Insane, which we're writing a new show for the end of this year, and then also for the Fringe, and then Fringe next year. I took a year off this year from doing solo shows, and last year actually. So I did take a Elliot Bibby's magical mashup. That wasn't a solo show. That was a mixed bill variety show.
Yep, it was a thing.
Yeah, it was. And if you saw that, then I'm sorry. But yeah, so I'd like to do a solo show again. I've got one coming up. Well, not one coming up. One that it's pretty much there. It's called Abracadada. It's all about my life as a dad, because I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, 2 girls, and how I use magic in my day-to-day life to make my job easier as a dad. So little life hacks like that. So I think that would be quite a relatable family show. It'd be good for adults and kids. So I'm going to be trialing out material for that all the way up to the Fringe. So got that, and then I kind of want to do like a close-up show for the Fringe as well, like a 45-50 minute, really quite a small intimate show to like 20 people, 25 people, maybe less at the Fringe. Just like a sellout, Laurel, to be honest. I'll maybe do
5-seater Waterloo,
because as you've seen, like what we've talked about at the Magic Castle, I love that sort of parlour setting, and
like everybody's within arm's reach.
Yeah, my forte is that the close-up magic. So I think if I try and do that, have a solid show for that at the Fringe, plus this one where I can be more artistic, and then obviously Insane as well.
I was like, somebody's gonna have a busy
Yeah.
No,
I'll probably end up just doing Insane.
It was stressful enough this year.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. I think it was the best year. Especially last year, but this year.
Bibby's potion making classes before the shows.
I'll maybe do something that actually
a little less less intense.
For anyone listening, it's a magician. I did a great trick. I can't remember the name of
Hospitality.
Hospitality by Jim Steinmeier. There you go.
Yep.
Great French trick.
Yep. Perfect for quick turnarounds.
Yeah. And even the one we talked about with the bank card and ice, having to take 3 blocks of ice every day to the Fringe. And also the logistics of the orange, the lemon, and the lime. The card corner and that, having to buy an orange, lemon, and lime
every single day.
Well, actually, no, because I bought like 5 or 6, go to the shop, buy 5 or 6, because you can't have them going off. Yeah. You can't just go and buy, right, I need 30 limes, 30 oranges, 30 lemons, because they'll go off halfway through. So you have to stagger it.
Do you know, statistically, going back to hospitality, how many cartons of orange juice you bought over the month?
About 30.
It's absurd.
30 litres of fresh
have
orange
you
juice.
Touched orange juice since?
No.
Daughter's like, Dad, can I have some orange juice? You're like, nope, apple it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's been...
just the logistics of that is,
carnage. Absolute carnage. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch as well.
Glad someone enjoyed it.
Nothing like watching a hungover Elliot Bibby putting all of that together. Lots of fun.
I think I was only hungover like twice because I hardly drank this Fringe.
Yeah.
Like, because I had so much to do. I was in like half an hour early in the show just to set up my 6-minute trick.
Worth it in the end.
Anyone that knows that trick will know.
Yep. Well, it's been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for dedicating your time. I know I've certainly taken a lot of tidbits from you over the years, and certainly today as well. So I appreciate, 1, you being a great friend, and 2, obviously giving us the knowledge that you've learned over these years. And I look forward to many more years of absolute chaos and carnage.
Thanks very much for having me. I look forward to the part 2 of the podcast.
When we sign up and inevitably talk for another 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you guys at home have enjoyed it as well, We'll have everything that we've mentioned linked in the show notes, like I mentioned before. And if you have enjoyed it, leave a review or let us know in the YouTube comments what you took away from today, if anything, hopefully. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.